and welcome to Qtr Time podcast. I'm Lucy G.
And I'm Lucy P.
And we're here to bring you all the netball goodness you never knew you needed. Hi everyone, welcome back to our Rewind mini-series in preparation for the Commonwealth Games. In case you missed the news, to get us in the mood for Birmingham, we are re-releasing some of our favourite conversations from season 1 of the podcast, and this is the second episode of 3 that we're releasing this week. So what's coming up on this one, Luce?
Today's episode features current Silver Fern Sulu Fitzpatrick, who we chatted to back in 2021 about her journey to the black dress and overcoming challenges. We asked her about some of the key events in her life that have shaped her netball journey and how she managed to conquer her off-court difficulties to find herself back on top.
Amazing. Let's dive straight in.
It is a huge honour to be joined by the amazing Sulu Fitzpatrick on the show. Welcome, Sulu.
Well, thank you for having me.
How are you going in preparation for the new ANZ season starting this week?
It's been a good and hard, as you can see, a few months. But we're really looking forward to starting. I think it's around that time, probably in the last few weeks of pre-season. Everyone's just itching to get out on court.
For our listeners who can't see, Sulu has a cracking black eye at the moment. So, yeah, she's been going super hard.
So you have had the most inspiring and fascinating journey both on and off the court. And what really stands out so much to me when researching your playing career is the different challenges that you've overcome and just your resilience on what you've been able to achieve. So we would really love to chat to you about how you managed to burst back onto the international scene following a 7-year absence and talk a bit about some of the steps in your life that have led you to where you are now.
Yeah, definitely a long time between drinks. I think it's been a long and hard journey. A lot of it was pretty much self-inflicted. I think it was probably emotional maturity that took a long time for me to get, and just learning how to balance, I guess, my mental struggles and how that translated into the life of being an athlete. So I think those two, sport, especially high performance sport, it probably is a really tough arena to be in when you do struggle mentally anyway, because it is you're always at that high level of operating in terms of stress, pressure, fatigue, and all those things. So I think it probably took me a good decade to learn how to manage that. And so I'm really glad to be on this end of it, and enjoying netball. Being a mum, I think you get a bit of perspective, and understand the bigger picture. And now at the kind of, the tail end of my career, I'm seeing the young ones coming through and making sure that we're making a good environment for them to come into netball so that they can be better than us. So that's the focus for however many years this body wants to keep going. And so, yeah, just enjoying it while it lasts.
Amazing. And you've had just such an incredible journey from that first cap at 19 for the Silver Ferns. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like, stepping out to represent your country at 19. So what was life like for you at that time?
Life at that time was a bit all over the place. It was quite dysfunctional, but to other people it might have seemed like I had it all together, because I was at uni. I had just finished high school, and I got to have a contract in my last year of high school. So for other people on the outside, it looked like I was living the life. Also, being able to be deputy head girl at school, people thought that I was very organised and had it all together, and I was able to put on a mask, at school functions. I learned to hide it really well, but when the Silver Ferns, when that came around, I think that was where it just reached boiling point. I couldn't hide it anymore, just in terms of being able to hide everything going on mentally, but also that I wasn't actually doing everything I could do, or I didn't have everything quite right in terms of just everything, nutrition, lifestyle balance and all those things. And so it kind of all exploded all at once. So I was selected as a 19-year-old, one test, and then dropped within that year. I did terribly in all my uni papers. I tried to squeeze in way too many and failed miserably all at once. My body weight was up and down, like just everything. So I think that was probably needed to happen, but it all just happened at once. So that was a tough, probably few years. But looking back, I feel really blessed that I got that opportunity. But I know that I definitely took it for granted. So I feel really lucky because not many people get a second chance. But my second chance has come, many years later. But I'm really grateful that I've got it.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's just incredible to have had this time away and then to have just been able to come back. Do you think that because you'd had that experience of that one test, you sort of kept clinging on to that to know that you could, is that true?
Yeah, yes, it was always there. And I sort of put it to bed after that. After I'd got dropped, it was really, really tough mentally. Especially at that age, I didn't know how to deal with all the emotions and the shame of being in and out. And so I took it, as, you trick yourself into thinking you don't want it, and to make yourself feel better or to be able to coping mechanisms. And so you turn to things that aren't very helpful. So a lot of the time at that age, probably from when I was a bit younger, I would turn to food and then alcohol, just to be able to deal with those sort of insecurities or to be able to cope. But obviously it just made it a whole lot worse. And so, but I do think that having that one test, it was always in the back of my mind for all those years, but I tricked myself into thinking that I didn't really want it. And it wasn't till after I had kids and everything, I started dealing with everything internally, that I started to think, do I actually want to give it another go and do it properly? Yeah.
Yeah. So you moved from Mystics to Magic in 2011, I believe, and that was to try and get a few more minutes under your belt. But unfortunately, you kind of had limited court time. I think you were behind Liana and Casey at that time. So when you're kind of waiting in the wings like that, how difficult is it to kind of keep giving your all and turning up for training, especially given what was going on with you around that time?
Yeah. So when I moved in 2011, so I went from having that one quarter from Mystics to the next season, I actually got way more court time than I thought I was going to get. So I just was there along for the ride, happy to be under Nolene, to make new friends, to be able to travel back and forth. So I actually got a bit of court time for the 2011 with Casey, and I just lapped it up. It was the time of my life learning from her. But then, like you said, that following season when Liana came home, them being behind them, it was a struggle in the sense of learning how to keep trying to get better and to learn from, because they were legends of the game. I think it's hard when you go the other way. So when you go from getting heaps of court time to none, it's almost harder than going from none and grinding till you get there. So it's quite a weird transition. And I've talked to a few of the younger girls who have experienced that as well, like recently. And they say it's quite a struggle mentally, especially at that age where you don't know how to deal with that, and learning that you need to focus on how do you get better. So rather than worrying about the court time, you focus, okay, in this training, how am I going to be better for next training? But I think that just comes with maturity and learning.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, because I think a lot of people forget that some of the elite athletes are still so young, and it's such a crucial time within their developmental period that something like that, not getting court time or having loads of court time and then having that taken away from you can be like really big for them and have a real impact on them. I think people sometimes forget just how young some of these athletes are.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And especially I think because a lot of the netball, it's like you feel like it's your identity when you're growing up being known as the netball girl, or people see you as the superstar in netball because you've gone up through the ranks, and then to do it and then get it taken away, you almost feel like, is this a reflection of who I am? I mean, it's really hard to separate netball or performance from yourself. So I think it does feel like you're failing or life's not good when netball's not necessarily going your way. So I do think they're becoming more aware of that in terms of the young ones coming through in the elite environment. But I do think it's something that can probably be looked into further, just to make sure that we're looking after everyone coming through, dependent on, and it's not necessarily age related, because some are making their break or their first season at 24 or 25, and they're just as vulnerable or to it as a 19-year-old coming through. So I do think that that's important to look after everyone so that they can come in and be mentally looked after as well.
Yeah, definitely. So you've touched on this a little bit just previously in the interview, but we wanted to just say that we were so inspired to see the recent article where you very bravely revealed your mental health struggles and battle with drinking during your earlier playing years. Your honesty and openness about this topic, which can often be a real taboo subject, was just incredible. Do you mind telling us a little bit more about that and what was happening?
Yeah, so like I said, I always struggled mentally from as long as I can remember being young. Just feeling out of place and just not quite right. And so I never knew how to deal with that as a young one. So I probably was quite polarizing for some people growing up. I learned in high school to hide it quite well. So I was able to fit in really well, and I learned how to be that people would like you or accept you, or to just fit into the crowd. But I still had those things inside that I hadn't dealt with. And so food was a massive thing for me in high school. Definitely an emotional eater. Up and down, my weight has fluctuated. I can't eat, probably 20 kgs up and down for years.
Wow.
And then as I got older and I discovered alcohol, that was then an outlet or a vice. And because I never learned how to drink properly, I wasn't, as a normal island girl, I wasn't even allowed to drink. So of course it was in secret. My parents had no clue. And so doing that and not learning how to drink properly, just all those things, and using it to deal with my emotions and mental issues was obviously never going to be a good recipe. I wasn't an alcoholic, but I just couldn't handle drinking. So if I did drink, it never ended well. So it either ended with me like that I didn't remember what happened the night before, or I was or the next day I would just feel very, very depressed. Probably because that's what I was using to mask that. So it probably heightened it the day after. But yeah, my friends had no idea. They thought I was just a good time. A good
Wow.
fun.
Wow.
Yeah, so that probably went on for a good decade, probably as well because it was the same time as my career as it had taken off. So it was just a recipe for disaster, really.
So what was your relationship like with netball specifically at that time?
Yeah, I'd say netball, I never, looking back, I never did it 100%. Also, sometimes I think I self-sabotaged. So then if I didn't do so well, it's because I know I ate this or drank that. So it's not actually my best. So if I don't do so well, that's why. It's not because I'm not good enough. So it's, part of it is that. I know that netball as well I was always happy when we were playing or training and all that, but it was the in-betweens. And those are the times that matter in netball. I find that it's not how you are in training or games, it's the stuff you do behind the scenes or when no one's looking that has the most impact on your career. So to be honest, I got found out over time, and that's why my career's been so inconsistent. That's why I've played for 5 of the 6 teams in the ANZ. But I do think everything happens for a reason. So I would say my netball career reflects my mental and emotional state over the years.
You do play with your heart on your sleeve, I think, when we watch you now. It's amazing to watch you. And you've alluded to it there, but in 2013, you moved clubs to play for the Southern Steel. And then 7 weeks into the season, you found out you're pregnant and it was twins. And incredibly, we read that you played every game until the end of the season. which is amazing. Can you tell us a bit about some of the conversations that you had during this time? So with your coaches, teammates, your family, things like that?
Yeah. So at that time, I'd say that was all, not quite, but getting to the height of my instability. I'd say mentally I was very fragile at that time. I was a part of that New Zealand under-21 squad that season that was going to the World Cup that year, and I was the captain of that, but I was just very unstable. I had gone properly away from home for the first time ever as a 20-year-old who hadn't quite learned her life skills properly, was trying to manage all these things going on in her head, trying to get a career or forge a career away. I was living by myself, and then to find out I was pregnant, it was just a mess, really. But that was probably I think at the beginning of the season. I found out and I told my coach, and she was the coach of New Zealand under-21s at the time, so she was quite disappointed, and she said I needed to tell my mum or she was going to. And anyone who knows my mum knows you don't want to be telling her any bad news. So that was a fun time. So I flew home after training that day, and it was just not an enjoyable conversation. Obviously, it was hard, but my mum loves me, so we went to a scan, and then, of course, not only am I pregnant, but 2, so that was just fun. And then, so we finished the season. I pulled out of 21s, obviously, and then just sort of faded, just went hiding into the shadows for a while. And that was that for that year.
And obviously you had to take a break from netball to have the twins. Did you find it particularly difficult being away from netball when netball was obviously such a key part of who you are and, you know, your dreams as a child? Was having that break from it really difficult?
Yeah, especially when you don't plan it, because obviously that was not planned. And so to go from young girl, living your life, doing what you please, to then, oh my goodness, I'm going to be taking care of 2 children that will be reliant on me, and be an actual mum, like that was never in my wildest, like that never crossed my mind ever. I had never even contemplated being a parent. And so for that, it was just, I feel like even when I had them, so when I gave birth to them, it still hadn't sunk in. I definitely know I experienced postnatal, but I also think I was experiencing a bit of grief or loss with the netball, only because that had been part of life since I was like 5. I think that's why I just went into hiding. I'm really lucky that my parents and family were so supportive, because I 100% know I wouldn't have coped with the kids if it wasn't for them. I feel like it's all a blur. Like the first 6 months of the kids, all I can remember, if I think back, is crying, feeding the kids, sleeping, like just like clockwork. But I had some good people around me that encouraged me to come back to netball like 6 months later. So I'm really lucky in that sense that I've always had good people, not just with family, but also in netball. So they encouraged me to come along and play in the under-23s team. So, and in that team were some really good friends who are still playing now. So Maya was in it, Mon, who's in the tactics, Kayla Cullen, so not a bad team to come back and just enjoy netball. I was very blessed because had it not been for that, I probably would have just finished there.
Amazing. And you've said in previous interviews and referenced a bit today that you've always felt somewhat out of place, that you've not really fit in anywhere. And I think so many people really resonate with this. I was listening to a podcast the other day and it was Brene Brown, and she was talking about being the scared kid with a lunch tray who doesn't know where to sit, and that we all have that inside of us. And I've also heard you described as being a netball nomad. So why do you think that is? What do you think it is that makes you resonate with that?
Sugar. I know that I've always felt it possibly could have come because I don't know if the term in English, but it's called whāngai. So I've been raised by not my birth parents, but my auntie and her husband. So they're my mum and dad. But so from young, I always knew I was different. So I look very different. So my sister, Teresa, and the rest of my siblings, they're all really fair, um, opposite to me. So just physically, we appear very differently, but also personality-wise, we're all different. Like I like to talk. I'm very much connect sort of person, whereas they're quite quiet. They're quite introvert, and they all do as they're told. I like to push the boundaries a bit. So in that sense, that might have been part of it, that I just felt out of place, and I guess that just carried through as I got older. In terms of netball, I think that probably reflects in that sense in terms of moving around, not quite finding my place. But I think it's probably more so a reflection of that I never dealt with the things going on emotionally and mentally, that it meant that I was so unstable that I wasn't able to secure a spot in a team. So I didn't travel around because I wanted to. If I could, would have stayed in one team. But every year they recontract, and when I moved, it was because I wasn't wanted for that time. And so even in that sense, that probably reinforced the messaging in my head and heart, that I, not good enough or not quite there or not wanted, as opposed to realizing, which I do now, that I wasn't being my best self. Yeah, so good learnings.
I don't think anyone who's watched you play can ever say that you're not good enough. I mean, it's incredible watching you out there. You've been such an inspiration. And we actually had Layla Gusgoth on the podcast last week, and she said that she felt that she didn't feel she was good enough to go and play in Australia. She was like, oh no, that's for them, that's for those guys.
Yeah.
Kind of looking up to people and admiring like some of these amazing names in netball, like how difficult is it to then think, okay, I'm ready to step into their shoes now? Is there almost like an imposter syndrome sometimes?
Yeah, definitely, especially when that transition from schoolgirl netball or things like that straight into elite, especially for people that have been there for so long. It's actually really hard, that transition. The speed of the game is different. The nous that people have is so different. So it's actually really hard to adjust. To be honest, those first few years, even the year I played okay at Magic, I actually had no clue what was going on court. I was just playing what you play what you see. I could not read anything, so it was literally what was in front of me that I was just doing. I had no clue. So in that sense, I'm really lucky because there was good people around us. Like I had Timu Pada, Casey, Liana, so many good players that look after you. So in that sense, I think that is a job that those players have, to be able to help you transition. But yeah, definitely understand that feeling. That's how I still feel at the moment with international. I feel like I'm still adjusting and transitioning into that speed, and into that level, because everyone is at that level, the best of the best. But I think that if you can just work on being better yourself for each game, and be comfortable in your skin, that's probably where you'll have the best chance to play well, rather than worrying about everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. So fast forward to 2017 and you're back playing, representing new franchise Northern Stars, and you then very unfortunately had an ACL injury during the preseason, which is just devastating. No one wants to see that.
Yeah.
And what I found really fascinating is the fact that you opted not to have surgery. So can you tell us a bit about what your rehab journey looked like and how you coped with suddenly being injured, given how hard you've worked to get back playing again?
Yeah. I would say I was the poster child for the worst rehab to do. So I was not good. So when I look at my friend like Michaela, she's so good, so diligent, does every little thing she can, ices, does the recovery, does the sessions to the tee. I was the worst person, like so bad. So I did it in the off season. So I think it was like October or November, and our preseason was starting in January. But I had just signed my contract like a couple of months before, for the Stars the next season. And because I knew this was probably like my last chance in terms of staying in the frame of people's minds, I begged them to please just keep me on, please, please just wait, see how I am when I come into preseason, and they allowed that. So then pre-season, it was a struggle. I didn't do what everyone else, I couldn't do the same loading as everyone else, but managed to get through with a really good physio who taped up the knee really well, and with really good team who worked around me, with Liana who did all the extra running, and Dee. And I just enjoyed the environment. The girls were a really good team. But in terms of the product I put out on court, it was not good at all. I'm actually quite embarrassed. That's probably the season I'm most embarrassed of. And because the ACL was self-inflicted, and that was, my weight had gone up and down. That was when I was on my heavier end and when I was not doing the training I should have been. So I know that that's the reason I did it. But then at the end of the season, the surgeon said, well, with your weight, if you're able to get through a season, then it's probably better you don't do it. It might do you more harm than good. Oh. And I'm grateful that he made that decision, because that's why I was able to secure a contract in that off-season with Pulse. Because had I got the surgery done after that season, I would say that would definitely have been my career done. That would have been another one of 5 times that my career would have ended.
Wow, that is amazing. I mean, I've not heard of not having surgery. I mean, your legs must be incredibly tough and strong to be able to get through that.
They're very thick. I've got island taro legs.
Thick and juicy, love it.
And it was shortly after this that you got your Malu Tatau. Sorry for probably butchering that in my English accent. Can you explain a little bit more for us about the process and its significance?
Yeah. So the Malu it's a symbol for women. It's a coming of age. So the women get the Malu and the men get the Pe'a. It's about embodying what it is to be a Samoan woman, so being of service. You're protecting not just your nuclear family, but also your community, that you are a woman of good character, and that you are humble, and that you always put others first and serve others. So when you choose to do that, you are choosing to commit yourself to that lifestyle and for its long term. And the difficult thing is it's supposed to be covered at all times other than cultural settings. So that was a huge thing as well, knowing that I was going to be playing. But I got support from the community. And the big thing for me as well is making sure that when I'm on the court that I do embody those values, because it's not just reflecting on me, but also our people.
And what's the actual process? I think I read it's 7 hours or something of this tapping on your legs. What's that like?
Yes, so there's it's an owl, which is like a sharpened bone on the end of a stick, and it's like a comb. So I was in a whale in Apia in Samoa, and so you're just in an open house. There are 3 or 4 men that hold your legs to make sure they stay still, but also to stretch the skin. And then he is the expert, or the tattooist is doing your skin. Mine took 7 hours because my legs are so big. Some a bit shorter, but I would say it's a hugely spiritual journey. So I felt really connected with my family and my late grandfather. I really enjoyed the experience, and I think it was a catalyst for things moving forward in my life. Yeah.
And what a time for self-reflection as well while you're going through that.
Yeah, well, you got your mind's ticking because there's nothing else to do. You're trying to think of any other thing other than, but the sound is weirdly quite soothing, because it's just a constant, constant. So it's weirdly soothing / painful.
I think, a lot of people do struggle with that self-reflection aspect of it sometimes, and the self-awareness and the courage to really examine themselves firstly, and to then take positive action based on those reflections. So how difficult was it for you to be so brutally honest with yourself and to work towards self-love and self-care at a time where perhaps you didn't love yourself as much?
Definitely hard, and I think that's why it took so long. But I think as well, it's you know deep down if you're the type of person that you want to be, or you're being your best self, but you find ways to get away from that, or make yourself feel better, and deflect or blame other things, or look on the outside, or use other things to escape from it. So it took many years, but I do know that like you said, self-love is 100% the best thing, or the best step to take first before anything else. And self-love comes with accepting yourself with the not so good stuff as well. So I know that I'm very, very anxious, and I accept that now rather than try to hide it. And I'm quite open about it with my family and the team. I also know that accepting the not so good things, but also acknowledging your strengths as well, because especially as Kiwis and probably as girls, we don't like to acknowledge our strengths. But I think that's huge in terms of being able to express yourself, but also be your best for other people. So that's where I find now motivation. But it's definitely hard. But I feel like more and more people are speaking openly about those sort of things. And so if we can keep encouraging each other to do that, I think we'll all be better for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, watching you play kind of last season, and obviously in the Roses series and the Constellation Cup, it was just amazing. And I really felt that you were living up to that you were being your best self. And you can see it. It's all over your face, when you're radiating this kind of positive energy, and you've got this just amazing grin on your face when you're playing. I love watching that. So why do you think that you have come to find joy in playing netball again? Is it because of everything that's happened and the spiritual journey that you've been on?
100%. And I think feeling really comfortable now in my own skin and feeling like I understand myself, but also really actually being grateful for what everyone else has done. I think as a young girl, you're just worried about yourself, or you take for granted things like family or good mentors and opportunities. Whereas now I'm just like, anything good that comes up, I'm really, really grateful. And as well, like being away from all the sacrifices and help that my partner and kids have made for me, I know that's huge. So for example, in lockdown and even over Christmas, they didn't get a holiday because they were mum's training buddies, or my fiance was my training partner. So even I know, I feel sorry for him, but oh well. But even things like that, so it's not just about you. There's a bigger picture, and so I think that comes with age, or I guess with experience. So I think that's the stage in my career I am now, where every opportunity or whatever happens, just enjoy it. And if it lasts a couple more years, that's good. If it lasts one, then I'm happy with what I've had.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sulu. This has been really amazing and incredible to chat to you. And good luck with your first round against Magic this weekend. A bit of sea bass for the weekend.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Should be fun.
Yeah, definitely. And when's the wedding?
Oh yes, my partner keeps asking me about that. But we've agreed that we probably want a house first, because but that's a struggle in itself as well, especially in Auckland. So we might just go and go to the registrar and do it just with us and a few people. But who knows? I might be a Mrs. at the end of the season.
Oh, amazing. Well, we'll have to get used to. Will you change your name? Because it always bamboozles me when you suddenly have a new name.
We've also discussed this. I'm trying to convince him to take mine.
Nice. Love that.
Equality,
Yes.
Woman empowerment. And I feel like he's quite open, so he would be the type that would. So
Fitzpatrick's a good surname. It's not like a funky surname.
Nice surname. Yeah.
I think you should always take the best name. That's my argument. Yeah. Whose is the best?
His is Gray, so I don't mind Gray either. That's quite nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick all the way.
Yeah.
That's what you want to hear Sue Gordian shouting, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Sulu. This has been fantastic.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this rewind episode of Qtr Time podcast. Stay tuned for the final episode in this series being released very soon. If this has inspired you to listen back to more of our previous episodes, we have around 50 in total out there from this season and last, so do take a listen.
We'll also be bringing you some really exciting coverage from the Commonwealth Games soon, so do stay tuned on our social media channels for our schedule and all the info you'll need.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media at Qtr Time Pod for the latest netball updates. Get involved in the conversation online by letting us know which players you're looking forward to seeing at the Commonwealth Games in just a few days' time.
We'd also really appreciate it if you could just take a second to rate and review the pod, as it helps other people to find us. If you enjoy listening to the podcast, do let us know and spread the word with your netball pals so that even more people can get involved. Take care, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.